Hello and welcome back. Sorry for the delay on this one, but today I'm following up my Aliens Colonial Marines review by reviewing another game made by Sega that was slightly better received. Sonic Heroes. A game that not only succeeded the very popular Sonic Adventure games, but was also the first major release on multi-consoles after Sega's own stint of their own consoles kind of imploded. So let's just say this game had some big red soap shoes to fill. But with all that said and done, let's make a start of the first of possibly many reviews involving the escapades of Bluefast the Cactus Rat.
Look out down below, Sonic is on the go. Can't stop this party till we save the world.
The story, while no fine work of literature, still exists and is split throughout 4 main campaigns, each with their own reason of taking out Dr. Pingus Egg Botnik. Team Sonic, who are trying to stop him from taking over the world. Team Duck, who have their own multitude of reasons to hunt down Eggman, including a returning Shadow the Hedgehog who is kind of suffering from some memory loss and might also be just an android copy of the real Shadow. Team Rose, who wish to save their animal friends from Eggman's clutches. And Team Chaotix, who are literally getting paid to do this. However, it's slowly revealed throughout the 4 campaigns that the guy that you thought was Eggman was actually Metal Sonic in disguise. The real Eggman's been locked up, and Metal Sonic has been copying all the characters' data so he can turn into some giant mechanical kaiju, take over the world and, I don't know, possibly sell the data to Facebook on the way. But he is eventually defeated thanks to the power of the 7 Chaos Emeralds as well as the
real superpower of teamwork.
And that's the end. See you next time for the most 2000s thing ever to be conceived. The gameplay is enjoyable at some points and frustrating at others. Although I have heard the GameCube version of it is slightly better than the PlayStation 2 version I played. But guess who doesn't own a GameCube? Or a GameCube version of the game? Or a GameCube emulator for that matter? The gameplay is basically the same throughout all 4 campaigns. You have a speed character that goes fast and does special traversal segments and is about as easy to control as someone with shoes covered in butter. The power character, whose main role is fighting enemies and destroying obstacles, and the flying character, who has the ability to hover to do certain platforming sections and to stun airborne enemies. Most of the campaigns are basically the same with some change outs when it comes to enemy placement or obstacles. Team Sonic basically serving as the base difficulty, Team Dark being slightly harder, Team Rose being easier and with shorter levels, and Team Chaotix levels being more objective based, like collect a certain amount of items, defeat a certain amount of enemies, or travel through the entire level without being detected. And you better get used to these levels because you have to play through all of them 4 times, 1 lot for each campaign if you want to get to the final level and boss fight. Some of the levels are good, some of the levels are bad, and some of the levels are Bingo Highway. Fuck Bingo Highway. And speaking of things that piss me off, let's talk about the special stages. First, you have to get to them by picking up a key in one of the levels and taking it all the way to the end of the level without getting hit. Although there are multiple keys in a level. And once you do that, you're then put in a special stage where you have to run through this weird tube thing, collecting balls and avoiding bombs. And you beat these. I mean, let's be fair, you can't really take much registered time limit or catching up to a Chaos Emerald before it gets to the end before you do. And you have to collect all the 7 of the Chaos Emeralds as well as complete all 4 of the stories if you want to get to the final boss and the true ending. And speaking of bosses, this game doesn't really have many of them, so I thought I might as well talk about them. The robot arenas are not really bosses, as you're just fighting wave after wave of Eggman robots. The rival battles not only happen for seemingly some of the stupidest reasons possible, but I had absolutely no idea what the hell I was doing or what the win conditions were, yet somehow managed to keep winning by accident. First there's the Egg Hawk, which is extremely easy but decent for a first boss fight. Then you have the Egg Albatross, which is extremely tedious and long. And then you have the Egg Emperor, which is kind of cool, I guess, apart from the fact that Eggman just keeps repeatedly saying the same line over and over again. And then you have the final boss, which, when it comes to gameplay, is just okay. Bit more than makes up for it in presentation. I mean, it's hard to take issue with a boss fight that involves you fighting a giant flying mechanical kaiju that throws battleships at you while a rock song plays in the background. And what else is there to say? Oh yes, the physics of this game can be a bit wonky, the controls can be a bit slippery, the hitboxes are a little jank, sometimes the abilities will just randomly not work, and the characters just refuse to shut up! The graphics look fine for a game that's released, what, over 20 years ago now? With the characters and levels themselves looking alright, especially when compared to the Dreamcast games where the characters looked like their faces were melting. The backgrounds on the other hand are just static images, and crusty static images at that. And now I hand over this segment to Music Meister for his own music breakdown. Thank you. The game's main theme is a solid rock tune reminiscent of early 2000s works. Each of the teams has their own unique theme tune as well. Team Chaotix has their own solid rock tune. Team Dark also has a rock tune, but with a more electro style, kind of like Linkin Park a bit. Team Sonic's tune kind of sounds like the Friends tune if sped up. And Team Rose's tune is kind of like a rock pop mix that you would hear from a late 90s to early 2000s girl band. As for the levels themes, they tend to fit the levels themselves very well. Seaside Hills theme is, well, certainly seasidey and tropical sounding. Grand Metropolis is very electro-y, although some of the themes are not quite as good. Casino Park's theme is extremely electronic and repetitive. And Bingo Highway hurts my ears. I say that if you enjoy 2000s American rock, then this game's soundtrack will be very listenable. With a combination of high highs and low lows, my final verdict on this game is just okay. While it does have some fun parts, interesting ideas and a mostly good soundtrack, it has issues with some of its mechanics, repetitive nature, as well as a somewhat rushed feel to the game as a whole. Kind of like another Sega game that I recently reviewed. In a way I feel that it kind of represents the Sonic franchise as a whole. A promising experience held back by incompetent design. Well, that's all from me. See you guys next time.